everybody. Welcome to the podcast. This is the first time you've got an intro in a couple of weeks, and that's because normally when I have a guest, I just hit that record button, and you just come in right in the middle of the conversation. I mean, obviously not in the meat of the conversation, but like literally I just hit the record button, and we start talking, and then I just pick like a random place to just like insert that into the podcast, and that's what you get. But when it's just me, you'll get me saying, welcome to the Gary Cantrell podcast, and here I am. This is episode 30, by the way. Wow, 30 episodes. This is crazy to me. When I started this back in May, and look, if you're new to this podcast, I've been doing podcasting now for 10 years. Some form or variation. I've done live internet radio. I've done podcast. But I've been in and around this format for around 10 years. But this podcast that you're listening to right here, right now, is what I'm most excited about. I used to talk professional wrestling on a podcast. I used to talk about all kinds of other things on the podcast, but now it's just life, man. Like that's what I'm all about. I mean, that's what we should all be about, right? Is life. And this particular episode, there's no set format. Like usually it's one or the other. It's either I have a guest and we're talking random things involving said guest and, kind of just whatever, wherever the conversation goes. But then also, if it's not a guest, there's usually a particular topic. And so this week, the particular topic for this show is in-house stuff. So in the past few weeks, I've interviewed people and I've kind of inserted little updates about me as we went along where it made sense. But I'll have a formal update on my weight loss in this episode. So, if you follow me on Instagram, you catch a post here or there. I'm going to give you like the definitive, here's where Gary's at, here's where he's going, that kind of deal. We're going to talk about that. But a lot of in-house notes here in the Gary Cantrell universe or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. That sounds really weird. Gary Cantrell universe kind of has a weird ring to it. We're going to talk about YouTube. I'm active over there now. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about my clothing line that you're going to hear a little bit more about here soon. But I want to lead off with the podcast itself. So there are some changes that are coming to this podcast, stuff that you, the listener, may not necessarily notice, but if you're like me, and I think that a lot of people that listen to this show are kind of invested, in what I do, in the sense of you kind of know that I'm all over the place with stuff. And so when I tell you that I'm going to be kind of talking about the behind the scenes about the podcast, that'll make sense to you, I feel. Like you'd be like, oh, yeah, of course Gary would bring that up. He's a nerd. He likes techie, nerdy kind of thing. So that's where I want to lead it off and to announce to you guys that I've switched hosting providers for this podcast. So previously, I used a company called Podbean, and I used them for many years because it just made sense, okay? They say, hey, it's $10 a month to host all the files you want for your podcast. And I'm like, cool, I can do that. But as technology evolves, as new things came out, I noticed that it was becoming increasingly more difficult to get this podcast in newer platforms. And so the idea, like if you've never done a podcast or thought about doing a podcast and you wonder kind of like what goes into it. So you have a host, a podcasting host, which in my case was Podbean, and you would upload the file that all of you downloaded to your phones right now to listen to. And from there, I would post it. When I upload it to the Podbean, there is a such thing called a feed burner, which is linked to the Podbean, and it knows when there's a new episode. So the feed burner talks to all these different services like iTunes, which you guys probably know the best, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn. Now, these are kind of the big ones, but in the last couple of months, a couple of other folks are jumping in the podcast world, and I'm talking about iHeartRadio and Spotify. Now, Spotify, you guys know best as a place where you probably stream your music. You're kind of one or the other. You're either Apple Music or you're Spotify. And I think a lot of people, a lot more people are Spotify. Spotify announced in the last year at some point that they decided they were going to do a podcast, but it was never clear how to get your podcast on Spotify. And the same could be said for iHeartRadio. iHeartRadio, it was very difficult to get listed there. Now, iHeartRadio is formerly known as Clear Channel, which was a big company that owned probably most of the major FM radio stations that you have in your market across the United States. If you're overseas, you probably don't know what iHeart is unless they have radio stations overseas. Anyway, iHeartRadio and Spotify saying, "Hey, we want to get into the podcast world," is huge because there's not a lot of podcasts on the platform. They're making it incredibly difficult to get on the platform. And so the thought is, well, geez, if I can get my podcast on these platforms, it's going to open up a whole new, rack of listeners, because whereas you look at iTunes and there's just thousands of podcasts, it's easy to get lost in the shuffle. But if you're on one of the new kids on the block like Spotify or iHeart, where there's a smaller pool of podcasts, you're more likely to be noticed. So in doing some research, I found out that a provider called Libsyn is kind of giving you fairly easy access to these platforms. So Libsyn has actually been around forever. I used to use Libsyn years ago, but they cost, more. They cost, I think what I'm paying is double of what I was paying before with Podbean. And so at the time that I originally had Libsyn looking for a new host, I was like, well, Jesus Christ, like I'm paying X amount of dollars and I could cut that in half and go with Podbean and just upload in bulk as many episodes as I want. So, because it's all a storage game. So Libsyn is not unlimited. Well, it is and it isn't. So every month you have a certain amount of storage that you can upload during that month. And then after the month is over, like on February 1st, the storage resets to 0. So in theory, you could have unlimited, but you have a max amount of what you can upload in a month. So my plan is limited. However, Libsyn gives you access to the Spotify and iHeartRadio, and they make it super easy. So, long story short, I switched podcast providers. It won't make a lick of difference to you guys, but I know there's some people like me that are nerdy out there that like to hear this inside baseball talking stuff, so I wanted to give you a couple of minutes on that. You should know that the download speeds will be a little faster too. It's not on Spotify or iHeart yet. There is a process in which you must wait a certain amount of time, and then it gets listed to these platforms. But if you are listening to me and you prefer listening on Spotify or iHeart and you went out of your way to get me on iTunes or Google Play or Stitcher or TuneIn, first of all, I appreciate you for making that extra effort to listen, but just know that if your primary home for podcasts is Spotify or iHeartRadio, I'm about to make it really easy for you. So that's coming up here in the coming weeks. Believe me, on my social, like Instagram, where I'm full-time, I will make the announcements as they drop when we hit Spotify, when we hit TuneIn or iHeartRadio officially. But it's going to be on these platforms. And these platforms are huge too, because Spotify and iHeart have built-in apps in a lot of car radios. So just the amount of visibility that this podcast can potentially increase, the visibility, blows my mind. I'm super excited for the future of this podcast because we're going to be on these new platforms. And the fact that I was able to do all this seamlessly, and you guys who are already subscribed won't know a difference. There's no difference. You don't have to do anything different. The only thing you will notice, here is the only con to this whole thing. There's pros and cons. 99% pros, 1% con, and that is that the back catalog is now lost. Not lost. I mean, if you're on your podcast app, you can't download the back content. So luckily, as I went along, I was uploading the podcasts to YouTube. So that is where you can find the previous episodes. You have to go to my YouTube channel in order to get them. There's a link on Gary'sPodcast.com to my YouTube channel. There's no reason to spout off a whole URL. I mean, if you really want to, it's either Gary Cantrell Official or Official Gary Cantrell, because somebody else has just Gary Cantrell. So you can go to my YouTube, like, let's just say hypothetically, if this is your first episode, or you caught me on last week's episode, which I'll get into that in a moment, and you're like, oh my God, I want to go back and download the rest of your stuff. And you're like, well, where's all your episodes? Go to YouTube. You can get them from YouTube. I'm going to see if I can put them elsewhere for you folks. Like, I'm thinking about doing like a SoundCloud account just to host maybe like some of the best previous episodes, like 3 or 4, because they're also limited in what you can download. And I'm possibly considering keeping up the old Podbean storage for a little while longer, maybe another month or two as we build up new episodes here, so that way new people coming in can download some of the back catalog. But episode 30, we're rocking and rolling on a new podcast provider. I'm super excited. And again, you guys won't notice a big thing of difference. This is more for the nerds that like the inside baseball stuff, just like me. So there you go. Pleased to announce that. Let's talk YouTube. So in 2018, one of my 5 things I was going to do in 2018, which is a previous episode, which I believe was probably like episode 24, 25 on YouTube, I talked about the 5 things that I wanted to do in 2018, and one of them was relaunching my YouTube channel. So far this year, I've uploaded probably 6 or 7 videos. I need to do more, and I am going to do more, but I think right now I'm at around 68, 69 subscribers, which I'm super thankful for. Thank you guys so much for jumping in, checking out the channel, and I promise you there's more to come. I'm really excited about what I can do with this channel, what the opportunity is on this channel. You can count on, at the bare minimum, at least one video from me a week. Excuse me. I'm trying to figure out what the frequency of videos is going to be. I have not pinned that down yet. Is it 2 videos a week? Is it 3? I know for sure at minimum you get the podcast video, which is, it's a static image and it's the podcast. Libsyn, like Podbean, allows to basically upload your podcast to YouTube for you. They just put like a static image and they put your podcast, which is pretty damn cool, because believe it or not, this is what I learned in the past. There are people that love to go on YouTube and listen to podcasts and radio, like, old clips of whatever. So I'm hoping to like bring some of those people in. So at the bare minimum, you're definitely going to get one of those videos a week. But then also, I'm thinking you'll probably be getting, at least 1 or 2 kind of like actual videos. And I've done quite a few so far. I've done videos about the fact that I went 1 year without McDonald's, the scale having too much power, the 5K I'm doing. These are some of the things I'm going to cover in a little while with my weight loss update. If you don't love yourself, it's game over. So there's several videos to check out now, and I'm going to be doing more here in the coming days and weeks. I'm also exploring, actually like vlogging, like taking a camera around with me during the day. What I may do in the interim until I get this figured out. So on Instagram stories, if you follow me on Instagram, so if for some reason you don't know me from Instagram, you know me from somewhere else, I am super active on Instagram. And one of the things I'm really active in is stories. So I may take videos from the stories and place those on YouTube. That is definitely up for consideration. definitely thinking about doing that. I'm really excited actually to get some more stuff up for you guys. But I think a vlog is definitely going to be necessary. I don't know that it's going to be like a daily vlog. Maybe a weekly vlog will make sense for me just because I have so much stuff going on, guys. Like, there's just so much going on. So, like, you have the day job, and that takes up a lot of your time. That's what pays the bills. But then, I've got a lot of side hustles. I've got this podcast. I've got YouTube. I've got going to the gym, which is not even a side hustle. That's like my health, which is the next thing right behind my full-time job. And then you have all these side hustles. So maybe a weekly vlog with a collection of clips throughout the week. That's what I'm thinking for a vlog. I don't think that I could be like a Casey Neistat or a Roman Atwood or one of these types that's vlogging nearly every day, if not every day. I just don't think that's in my cards. So I think I'm gonna have to pass on the daily vlog. But I'm gonna do more. I'm probably gonna do a giveaway on my clothing, pointing you to the YouTube. So stay tuned for that. So you may want to get on there now, but there's going to be a chance that, you'll have to do something involving my YouTube channel to win some clothing. And that's actually the very next thing that I want to talk about. So I've mentioned it in passing here and there on the podcast. There's been a couple of weeks where I've been interviewing somebody and it gets brought up about, the clothing and my inability or my unwillingness to address it on my Instagram. And honestly, guys, I've said it before, I'll say it again. There's just so much noise on Instagram with people selling stuff, Herbalife and It Works and all this other crap that I said to myself, I don't want to be one of these people. I don't want to sell stuff. What I learned was that the people that I interact with don't give a damn about it. Like, they don't give a damn if I'm advertising it because I'm not one of these spammy type people. I have a different approach to how I, promote it and whatnot. Like, more often than not, you'll just see me in a picture wearing this clothing. Like, that's it. I don't just post pictures of the shirt by itself and say, click here, click here, click here. Cause I don't believe in that. I don't like that. I would rather be the kind of guy who just posts my daily stuff and, oh, by the way, I'm wearing this hoodie or this sweatshirt. And then somebody DMs me or comments and says, hey dude, where'd you get that from? I was actually posting a before and after in a Facebook group today. And I had, some people that loved the shirt in there. It was the 4 Pillars t-shirt. And they said, where can I get that shirt? That's so awesome. And so I realized that is really the way to do it. It's to just in a passive way promote it without beating people over the head with it. People don't want to be told every 5 minutes, hey, I've got this stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. But you can also blow somebody's mind just by wearing it and they'll ask you. I mean, I sold a few shirts today just by somebody seeing my photo in that Facebook group. They said, hey dude, I love that shirt. Where can I get that? Where did you get it? Oh, well, by the way, I run a clothing thing and here it is. And that to me is better and more effective, than just saying buy my stuff, buy my stuff. So I'm going through a lot of changes with the clothing, I'm reevaluating how it's done, who makes it, what I'm offering. I've been quietly working on a brand new storefront for these products. Previously, if you're somebody who's bought stuff or won stuff in a giveaway, you would know that I have t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops. I've got the Hard Work Always Wins shirts in different colors and stuff like that. But then I also have the 4 pillars, which is what I'm wearing now. I'm wearing the hoodie of the patience, consistency, hard work, loving yourself. You know, I'm rocking that. So, and then I've got the overstocked on patience. You know, I've got the overstocked on patience stuff. So I've got different products, but one of the things, like, for instance, I get asked for all the time is leggings. You know, there are a lot of female people on my Instagram, and they see the Hard Work Always Wins. They love the message. They're like, hey, dude, you know, you have any leggings with that on it? You know, I get some of the fellas. They're like, hey, bro, you got a hat for that? You know, like, I get asked about these different products. So this new store that I'm working on is going to offer these things that you people have been asking me for: hats, leggings. I'm going to be able to make Hard Work Always Wins freaking towels, man, mugs. The same goes for the 4 pillars. All this stuff is going to be put on hats and leggings and mugs and towels and socks and underwear and all this, you know, all these different products. So I'm super excited about this new store. I've actually got some samples of some of these products coming my way later this week, which I'm really excited to kind of get my hands on and see, you know, how everything looks. So, you know, and the other thing I didn't like about the company I'm using now is the fact of how long it takes them to ship these products. It can be nerve-wracking. I'm impatient. I know the value of time, and I know that when you put in your credit card information and they take that money from your bank, you're like, I want my stuff. I want it now, or I want it as soon as I can get it. Well, dude, I'm with you. Believe me. I'm like, yeah, I want my stuff. I want it now. Like, I wanted it yesterday before I put my card number in, you know? So I'm working on trying to get it, you know, try to get it to you guys more efficiently. One of the other things I tried last week was a giveaway, and the response that I got from the giveaway was awesome. I mean, I was so freaking happy with how that turned out. You know, from like a business strategy, and again, this is more like an inside baseball kind of thing, but it's like, you know, people love free stuff, no doubt about it. So if you go out and say, hey, if you do this, this, and this, you can have a chance to win this. People are all about it, you know? And what you'll find is that if you are offering value to somebody, and that's what this is really all about, if you're offering value to somebody, they're going to be likely to give you value. So like I said, hey, if you like, comment, and tag 3 of your friends in this post, you know, you're entered to win a t-shirt. Then I said, by the way, if you want extra credit, potential bonus points, maybe some more entries, you know, you could always screenshot it and post it as a post of your own, and or post it in your Instagram story. And what I found was that many people did this. And so this is super beneficial to me in the sense of people are, and they're saying really cool stuff. Like, I hope they all meant that stuff, by the way. You know, like, oh my God, Gary, he's amazing. And I'm like, yeah, right. Who are you talking about? But they're helping to create awareness for the brand. And this is a different way to do it. It's not like, okay, here's my brand. Now look at me, look at me, look at me, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. It's, hey, check out this brand. And by the way, if you kind of help promote this brand by liking, commenting, tagging 3 of your friends, potentially posting your own post, posting a story, you know, you can promote the brand, but you could win something in return for that promotion. And that is super effective. I've spent money in Facebook ads, Instagram ads that didn't go anywhere. You get, a bunch of likes, but likes don't mean nothing, man. Like, this is something else that kind of gets to me on a side note on the clothing thing. Like, I get these DMs from these bots, and I don't know who runs these accounts, but I got, I'm going to pull it up right now. Excuse me. Bear with me for just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. It's in my spam box where it should be. And who is this? Who is this person? Is this a real person? It's not even a real person. There's no name on it. But basically they said, "Hello, I really like your page, but we analyzed your account and saw that your page's engagement is a little low. I can help increase your activity. Are you interested in the development of your page?" And I'm like, first of all, I don't think you even actually visited my page, because you're some automated bot running some follow liker type program that's sending auto DMs and auto comments and auto likes. But you couldn't comment on one of my posts because I have that turned off for people that I don't follow or don't follow me. So I cut you off there, so you just had to get in my DM. But so often on Instagram, I see so many people, they're just worried about how many followers they have. They're like, man, I want to follow 100 people and have 100,000 followers. Losing mindset. What it comes down to is finding out what your niche is and becoming a part of that niche's community. So in the weight loss community, weight loss, I don't even call weight loss niche, but there's a whole community of folks in the weight loss. Maybe niche is more like keto or whatever, weight loss surgery group, different niches of the weight loss bigger picture. And you become a part of the community. I get so, I just kind of roll my eyes when I see these people that are, quote unquote, trying to be a part of the community, and they follow 100 people, and it's like, dude, I don't care. Like, I could have 1,700 followers for the rest of my life. I'm fine with it, just so long as they're all people that, I'm social with, I interact with, as opposed to these people that want just hundreds of thousands of followers. Now, if we want to talk numbers, I wouldn't mind getting to 10K just so I could add swipe up into my stories, but I don't care about 10K, the number. I just want features that Instagram locks for higher tier users, which I think is kind of BS, but I don't really care about the number. I'd rather have 100 passionate, engaging folks than have 10,000 mindless bots that are just there to like my pictures and don't, there's nothing to it. So I'm all about building real relationships, and that's why I feel that I'm going to win on Instagram with people, because I actually will respond to you. I'm the kind of person where I will go through and reply to every comment on every one of my photos, just so long as it's not just something, somebody just posts an emoji or, a thumbs up or something. I'm not going to reply to that, or like one word type of things. But like, if somebody takes time to write like a nice comment, like, "Hey dude, you're looking great," or "You're doing awesome," like, I reply to each and every one of those. Even if I just say, "Thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you very much. Thanks so much. I appreciate it." Like, I will reply to everybody, because that's what I'm all about. Engagement. I'm all about, I know what it's like to look at other Instagram pages of these big time influencers, and you comment and they don't write you back. And it's like, maybe you're legit busy, but I think you're really going to win on Instagram if you're engaging with your audience. Plain and simple. So anyway, back to the close. So the hard work always wins merchandise. New store rolling out soon. And I'm going to start talking about it just a little bit more. I'm not going to be making dedicated posts where I'm just smashing links in your face. But I'm maybe going to be not so afraid to add it inside of a caption once in a blue moon, every time I have a new product or something like that. But at the end of the day, it's just clothes. It's not really harmless. It's not like I'm selling you some BS diet pills or shakes or wraps or any of that crap, because that's all crap, really, is what it is. So in the future, and people have told me, they're like, dude, why don't you promote this? Like this stuff is amazing. I have people that buy 5 to 10 shirts at a freaking time because they love it. And I mean, I'm super appreciative of that. And they're like, why don't you promote it? I'm like, just because it's just that thing. I don't want to be a spam guy. It's just not the way I'm feeling. So anyway, if you want to follow the brand itself, it's at Hard Work Always Wins. All one word. You've probably seen it tagged in my stories and on my posts, and I'll continue to throw it out there in case you miss it or can't remember it. So, at Hard Work Always Wins. Hey, I'm getting tired. It must be time to wrap this thing up. Weight loss update. Let's talk about the weight loss. So I think the last time I did a solo show was probably in November, where I actually talked about weight. And so over the holidays, you guys know I had a gout attack in my right wrist. It kind of sidelined me for a week. I went up 8 pounds in a week because I was not exercising. I was told I could not exercise. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to, be kind of lax about what I eat. And these things all contributed to it. But as I've said in my YouTube video, the scale, we give it way too much power. And I think that is so freaking true. Don't worry about the scale. Like, honestly, it's what you do in the 7 days in between a workout, a weigh-in, is what really counts, okay? That's real talk. It's not a number on the scale. It's what you do in the 7 days in between that gets you to where you want to be. My lowest that I ever got was 274, which was 98 pounds away, and I ballooned up to 282, and now I'm back down to 278. So I'm working on it, guys. I'm working very hard to get to where I want to be. So I've already lost 4 pounds. I'm about halfway there, pretty much. You may have saw the YouTube video where I mentioned that I was registered for a 5K. That is a second item on the top 5 things I would like to do in 2018 in no specific order. Running or participating in a 5K is part of that. It's one of my goals, and I said I was going to do it, and I just started actually using this app called Couch to 5K, which Couch to 5K is an amazing app. Let me tell you, I'm the kind of guy who could not run or jog for a sustained period of time. Just not happening. Couldn't do it. Was not possible. So, I got on this app, and it said you're going to run for, I think it was like a minute the first time. I was able to do it without holding onto the railing. And then the next week 2, it said, okay, now you're going to run for a minute and a half. And I was able to do that without holding. And then yesterday I really got my butt kicked because it was like, you need to run 3 straight minutes. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was fearing it, but I did it. And the thing about that is, guys, it's just that you just don't give up. Okay. It's as much as it's about the patience, consistency, hard work, love of yourself. Like, you just can't quit. You got to believe in you. Okay. You're talking about a guy here who used to shovel pizza rolls, like the 120 count bag I'd eat in one sitting by myself, dunking them in ranch, watching Netflix, playing PlayStation or Xbox. Like, this is the person that I used to be. And there is a good chance that you listening out there could be in a similar position. So I'm just here to tell you that when you decide to get started and go, just know that you can do it as long as you believe. And as long as you make an effort, you will absolutely be able to do it. I have no doubt in my mind, because I did it and I had all the doubt in my mind as I was going through it. So believe in yourself. Do you. Don't quit. You will make it. I promise you. You can do it. I ran for 3 minutes straight. No stopping. No holding on to any of the handrails or anything. Just, my two arms just kind of, in a running style, flailing, going on like a running style thing. So that's the deal. I was able to do it. So we'll see what happens 2-3 months from now when I actually run the damn 5K, but I'm really excited. So all in all, 2018 off to a good start. I'm super, super excited for this year. I'm pumped to be on Libsyn now, which means we're going to be on Spotify and iHeart very, very soon. YouTube, I'm trying to ramp this son of a gun up. I need you guys to check me out. Just type in Gary Cantrell. You'll see my different videos. It's hard to miss me. I have the same avatar as I do on Instagram. So if you follow me there at Gary Cantrell, you can see the picture and you'll know who to look for on YouTube. I'm getting tired. It means I'm wrapping up. Hardworkalwayswins.com. That's where you can find all my clothing. And we're going to start ramping that up here soon. New stores under construction. It should be up within a week or so of you hearing this. And same low prices. It's going to be great, but you're probably going to get your stuff a lot faster. And then for the weight loss, I went up 8 pounds and then I dropped 6 pounds down to 278. So I'm up, I'm down, I'm all around, but I'm going to get there. I'm going to run a 5K at the end of April. So I'm super excited for everything. I'm super excited to see where I go, where this show goes, where everything goes. But I just wanted to take this moment now to tell you the final thing I'll tell you. If you're on iTunes, if you're on Stitcher, if you're on wherever you are, look to where it says review this podcast and please send us a review. It helps increase the rankings and visibility of this show to new people. So, if you're like, hell, Gary, he sucks, that's fine. Don't leave a review. But if you're like, oh my God, this podcast was amazing, I got so much out of it, please leave a comment or a review on iTunes. It helps out the show so much. So that's going to be it for me this week, guys. A little bit shorter than what you're used to, but that's all the in-house notes I have for right now. And I will be talking to you guys here next week on the podcast. I'm Gary Cantrell. Follow me on Instagram at Gary Cantrell, at Hard Work Always Wins, www.hardworkalwayswins.com. If you don't want to buy a shirt, maybe you got to do some shopping on Amazon. Support us. Gary'sPodcast.com/Amazon. It'll take you right to the homepage of Amazon where I get a small commission off what you buy. You don't pay anything extra. Don't worry. They just break off a few pennies for me for sending you to the site. So that's it. I'm out of here. I'm done. Have a great rest of your week, guys, and I will talk to you next week.